Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morgan Ross, Motor City Man Mouth. Have a loaded crew tonight, and a really good one, I might say. And the title says it all. Will Aaron Rodgers be Mike Tomlin's security blanket? I don't know. Let me go ahead and introduce the crew real quickly. George Eichhorn, welcome back.
Good to be here, Scott. Thanks.
Candy Ebling.
Thank you, Scott.
Willie Epting, my grandson
Hello,
home run
hello,
hitter.
hello. Thank you guys so much for having me again. I appreciate it.
Hello. All right. Well, we appreciate you too. Jacob Christner.
Uh, Tom was one of my favorites, so this would be a good little deal, you know.
Yeah, sure will. And last but not least, Taylor Phillips.
Get ready to unleash hell.
Yeah, and you're going on the country club tomorrow. Good thing.
Yes.
So Aaron Rodgers is a Pittsburgh Steeler and was actually golfing the other day with DK Metcalf. So what are your thoughts, Willie, about Aaron Rodgers going to Steel Town?
Are you serious right now? No.
Why, you want me to wear that hat? Really? Seriously? Really?
Man,
Well,
look. When is the last time Aaron Rodgers won a playoff game?
Not in a few years.
Not everybody answer at once. I want to say 2016.
Same as the Steelers.
Is that right? 2016?
Mm-hmm.
I think I heard that somewhere. So what about Aaron Rodgers in the last 10 seasons that has happened that is going to make us believe that he's going to all of a sudden turn it around for the Pittsburgh Steelers? So good for him that he's there. He gets to play another year. He gets an opportunity to earn another $19 million with incentives.
All right.
But is it going to make a difference in terms of the Steelers getting either any further in the playoffs than they have?
All right.
I don't think so. I mean, and he sucks in the postseason. That's my opinion. That's actually a fact.
Well, one thing about this is real news, not fake news, because it is. Hey, Joshua George, just I know you tend to get confused on these. This is a sports exchange. The one you're looking for tomorrow, hockey is sports wrap. Even though you know you'll be tied up with your hockey game, we'll leave it at that. Okay, Jacob, what are your thoughts about Rodgers going to Pennsylvania?
I'd say this, Willie. Tom was one of my favorite coaches, and it's just because of it's a psychological thing he does with certain players, and being able to, and the ability to continue to win some games, even though you've got Duck Dynasty, Duck Hodges, you get Mason Rudolph, you get, and it's like you get a zillion different type of quarterbacks, fourth string the guys, and they still 2-2 before the starter gets back. I mean, he just knows a way to psychologically get in their head to keep winning. Like regular season games. Now, not doing it in the playoffs, but here's the thing. He has said himself he's getting close to retirement. I've heard this from him, and it's like he's been coaching since he was 34 years old. He said he's getting closer than not. Something is telling me that, you got to realize they didn't even go after Kirk Cousins, who would have wanted to start.
Right.
And he's not much on the thing. Something is telling me, guess what? This is not a move you get for a Super Bowl at all. I mean, you got one guy who is they haven't been there since 16 to have won a playoff game, and they haven't, neither has Aaron Rodgers. So this isn't a move. What they're looking at, what he is trying to do, considering the issue with the Bengals right now. The issue with the Bengals is they're going to probably lose Trey Hendrickson because they're cheap. And they spent all that money. And then they're having all kinds of issues with the guard. And they're having issues with all that. They're going to have an even worse defense. And the Browns are the Browns. So something tells me that he's making this move to have his possibility. And this is what his move is. I have a thought process. To have a possibility of getting a home game, win because of Chris Boswell, win at the end, get their butt absolutely stomped by Kansas City the next week, but they can say they won a playoff game. I'm not saying you're right, Willie. You're right. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying that's exactly how his thought process is, because they don't have anything to go to a Super Bowl, to go long, to go anything. That's the thought process. If they would have hypothetically had the thought process and it would work out and they win that quote unquote home playoff game, they would do that. Then they could build on something else and go use Will Howard or any of their thought processes. That's what their thing is. But if it doesn't work and you have wasted it with an old guy, you've wasted a season with your draft pick. You've wasted all of this kind of stuff, and you probably don't have a chance to get it back. So it's kind of a risk in the middle of this.
All right, Candy, go back to J.D. Wyatt. Go ahead, and then Willie, you can respond. But I love this comment. Go ahead. Who wants to read this one?
Salute, ladies and
Ladies
gentlemen. Aaron Rodgers can't be a security blanket. He's old enough to have a favorite blanket and a spot on the couch. 100%.
Okay, go ahead. Now you want to respond to that?
I'm not denying what you're saying, Willie, and you're laughing. I'm not denying that at all. In fact, I think you're right. I'm saying this is what the plan, I think, is for Tomlin, to try to just get a playoff win.
Yeah, and I didn't take it as you were anything that was disagreeing or anything like that. I actually just had a question, because for them to win a home playoff game, that means they have to win the division.
Mm-hmm.
So are we thinking that they're going to win the division over Cincinnati and over?
Well, no, Cincinnati's screwed. The way that they're doing their defense, they're screwed. And Cleveland's a mess, so all they have to go with is Baltimore.
Right.
And really, they had a 2-game lead on Baltimore last year before they bombed. So you can never tell the possibilities of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they bombed because they're quarterbacks again.
Mm-hmm.
So they're hoping that Aaron Rodgers you just use it. Remember, they're going to have Caleb Johnson and their other, I forget their other running back, but they're gonna have a
Jalen Warren.
Yeah, Jalen Warren. Thank you. They're gonna have their run game. They're gonna have all this stuff. And I think they're gonna win 10 again. It's just because the guy wins 10 games with two of the games being Duck Hodges. He just does. He is psychologically good enough to do that. I don't think he's an X's and O's guy, but I love how he does. But that's just the thing.
Fair enough.
Okay. Taylor?
Aaron Rodgers has been really struggling to win a playoff game, and now he's old and washed up. I'm hoping to God that this is his last year in the NFL, because he is washed up. Like I just said, he's like over 40 years old. Wow.
41.
41. Yep, there you go. So after that, the Steelers have to move on from Mike Tomlin, because he is an over loyal walking cliche machine. The standard is the standard.
Okay, Candy.
I think they brought Aaron Rodgers in. One, makes big name MVP quarterback. Granted, he is in the decline of his years. I get that. But I think the Steelers also look and say, how many quarterbacks have we had since Ben Roethlisberger? What has been the success in Green Bay? The success in Green Bay is to draft a quarterback and sit him behind somebody. Now, what I've heard is that Aaron Rodgers has actually taken Will Howard and is mentoring him. Now, that remains to be seen. But is this a way for the Steelers to try and get their next quarterback up to par without throwing him into the wolves, like some of these teams are drafting quarterbacks and throwing them in right away, and it's too early. They don't know the speed of the game. They don't know all of any of that. And their option was Mason Rudolph or Aaron. And I think they knew that Aaron was going to come. I think Aaron just didn't come. Now, if we've heard that he's now married. He's been married a couple of months. He had personal things that he was going through, and maybe all of that led up to the timing of his signing. And the Steelers probably knew that.
I think I've read that he's spiritually married to himself.
I don't know. I'm not even going to go there, because I still have to be conscious of something that's very, very important. I need to make sure Willie Epting is in on every subject today. So I'm going to do everything I can for Mr. Willie to keep my comments as concise as possible to make sure Willie is the man. Okay, and that's not easy for me to do, but I will always do it for Willie. And I know he's laughing at me because we've known each other for a long time because he knows that is a major league challenge for me, right, Willie? But I will try.
I plead the fifth.
So before I turn it over to George, I just want to say there is no NFL quarterback that has ever lost to all 32 franchises, and there are only 4 that have beaten all 32. And that would be Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, and Drew Brees. Now, ironically, the Steelers do play the Packers, and that is the only team that Aaron Rodgers has not beat yet. So he could add himself to this list. Ironically, the Steelers also play the Jets, who he used to play for, and the NFC North. And they play all of those old division rivals that Aaron might want to get revenge against.
And Willie, you don't have to plead the fifth because sometimes body language says it all when you're laughing at me and you know you're right. Then I'm right. Then I'm going to try to keep it concise. But that's what I love. That's why I love working with you because you're the only person that would call me Scooter, and I haven't heard that name since I was 7 years old playing hockey. What it was sad.
Well, sometimes the loudest things we can say contain absolutely no words.
So did I say a lot of loud things that contain no words? Kidding with you, Willie.
Not just you, sir. Not just you.
I'm kidding with you. You know I am, right? And as far as Patrick Hughes' comments are concerned, they should pick up Amari Cooper. That would be a good move.
The Cowboys?
No,
the Cowboys?
Steelers.
No, the Steelers. Oh.
He's out there. He's available.
More like a tank bowl.
All right, go ahead. We got to leave it to George, and I only have one sentence to say on this. One sentence.
Well, he last won a playoff game in 2020 when he was with Green Bay.
2020, okay.
All right. So he hasn't had a winning season. I'm not counting that Jet season of 2023 where he actually was 1-0. I'm not counting that. You have to go back to 2021. He was 13-3 for the Packers. So does he have something left in the tank? Yes, he does. He does. They're too run dependent in Pittsburgh. They need more passing. They need more ground, complementary to the ground game. And I don't know. I don't think it was too bad of a little bit of a risk, but maybe not too bad of a risk if you're Tomlinson and the Steelers. They've always gone for big name quarterbacks over the years. We know that. Bradshaw and Roethlisberger come to mind. But I really think that I agree with, was it you, Taylor, that said this probably his last year? I really think that's probably true. But if he wins 13 games and stays healthy, but that's probably not going to happen. He could come back again, but it's worth a chance. It's worth a chance for the Steelers.
All right. On national broadcast, I'm going to say my one sentence. He was not going out on a bad note with the New York Jets, so he's going back to the Pittsburgh Steelers to try to leave his career on the best note possible. Period. Everybody understands?
Agreed. Yeah.
You want to sit here and leave as a Jet the way things worked out last year? No. At least you go out with Mike Tomlin and try to salvage somebody your career, and that's it. I'm done.
And Patrick Hughes, you're right. He did throw for over 3,000 yards with the Jets last year.
28.
So what did that
what did he have? 28 touchdowns and 11 interceptions and 12 losses? Really? Seriously? Really? I was waiting for you to do this, Eichhorn. Come on, we're done. We're moving to the next subject. Don't research anymore. You're done with this topic, all right? All right, now the Connecticut Sun are exploring a sale and franchise and relocation. I think the best bet, Boston. I think a friend of mine, Dominic Amore. I don't know if you've ever met him, Willie, but he actually writes for the Hartford Courant. I met him through another organization, and some during the women's Final Four told me that Boston looks like the most likely place. If it would make sense, right? You ended up seeing, the Boston Bruins playing games in Hartford, and Hartford seems to lose teams anyway. So I don't know. I think that the Connecticut Sun are headed to Boston. What do you think, Willie?
I thought they already played it. I thought they already played in Boston, to be honest with you. I mean, where do they play at in stores? Is that right? They play in stores or
I think they play in the Mohegan Sun somewhere, not in stores though.
Oh, okay. Well, Be that as it may, I'm pretty sure Boston would welcome them. Boston is a major media market. Boston is
Right.
a lot of times considered by many people as to be title town because of the Patriots and the Bruins and even the Celtics last year. And even the Red Sox to a degree. So I'm pretty sure that the city of Boston would be a win-win situation for them because of the market, just because of the market itself.
Precisely. Jacob?
I'm going to give an absolute prediction to this if it's Boston. If it's Boston and they open that up, I am going to predict and probably guarantee that their first person they try to go after, the first girl they're going to try to go after is Caitlin Clark. Because that would be their Larry Bird. That will be their Larry Bird, and they will try to go. And I mean, especially to fill stands and the type of game that she plays, it's so much like it. And it just be like, and I mean, it'd just be a marketing machine just to be able to put something like this. And it's like, I could absolutely see it. Why not?
Okay. Taylor?
Connecticut Sun. Wow. Yeah, they could. Man, they're looking to be sold, huh? Wow. Jeez. Well, all I can say is I wish them good luck.
Fair enough. Don't you need to go no more. That's all right. You gave me your best shot. I have no problem with that. Again, it's something I want to talk about the WNBA because somebody in that area, a writer, told me about it. He's the one who talked, and then all of a sudden I get this and say, this guy is right. And he's actually going to be writing a book on Jim Calhoun. And I'm hoping to get Jimmy on at some point down the road. Candy, some thoughts about this?
On August 20th, 2024, the Connecticut Sun and the Los Angeles Sparks played the first ever women's basketball game at TD Garden in Boston. It was a sold-out affair. We don't have any media superstars, and we're still able to garner that kind of attention in Boston. So yes, is Boston the front runner? Yes. They're the first front runner. The second would be Philadelphia, and the third is Denver. Interesting cities.
Okay. George?
No, the third is Detroit, not Denver. I'll go with the other D, but Boston is going to get it. No question about it. And, I don't blame the WNBA for going into Connecticut, okay? UConn dominated and has continued to dominate women's basketball. So the move to Connecticut was a brilliant move back by the WNBA when they made it. But now they see the light, and you really got to go to a big city. And Boston's got great basketball fans, as we all know. So I would definitely think that should be a good positive move if the Connecticut Sun indeed are closing up shop.
Okay. Well, Boston, I think we all agree on that. All right. Now on to our non-sports topics of the night. I promised last week I'd deliver something about Robin Williams, and I'm going to do exactly that. Robin Williams asked production to hire at least 10 homeless people in all of his films, helping over 1,500 throughout his career, and had a unique clause in his contract. Unbelievable. And that you talk about a guy who's legendary, wants to help homeless people. That's just too unbelievable. Just again, I'd like to mention, here's another good one. I want people, another good feel-good story. Iowa man passes away and uses life savings to send 33 strangers to college. He spent 67 years working as a carpenter at the same company, was never married, no children, and lived a modest life. How about those two for feel-good stories? Willie, what do you think about those?
I mean, Robin Williams, especially with the way that he passed away and the depression and the mental health issues that I'm very, very fond and am an advocate for. This just goes to show you that you never know what a person is dealing with.
Right.
And I had a conversation with my physical therapist about this same subject because we were talking about Robin Williams, and somebody mentioned oh my gosh, what's his name? Anchorman, Will Ferrell. Somebody mentioned Will Ferrell and the fact that he acts or he portrays or he has the same sort of personality as Robin Williams. in the fact that he's always on, but you don't know what he's silently dealing with. And for Robin Williams to be silently dealing with whatever it was he was dealing with, and to still have the mindset to do what he did, nothing short of remarkable, man. And when he passed, we lost a great one.
Well, this fact is another way for all of us here on the network to honor Robin Williams' legacy. We talked about last week, and I was determined to bring it on tonight's show, and I really wanted to do that. That's the Iowa man. More power to him. Jacob.
Let me say this. I said this once. I was talking to somebody about this with Frank Sinatra, from the deal. I said it in the same boat, and I'm going to say it with Robin Williams. There's little rules that a biblical thing says if you commit suicide, you will not go blah, 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 blah. He made it. Just being exceptionally honest. And I'm just doing it from a human aspect and everything like that. He made it. The man did so much for people. He did so much for people. He did it. And it's like the whole idea of what you're supposed to do to go through life and after the afterlife and everything is the best that you can do for people in this world. He did it. He did it. And I have no question he made it. And that is all how I'm going to say with that. But in truth, really, one of my favorite movies is Patch Adams, even though Patch Adams himself can't stand it. Mm-hmm. But I love the idea because the way that Robin Williams could be Patch Adams himself. He could have been himself. You believed it. You completely believed it, that he was helping these people. And you believe this. And it's like, this is the biggest thing with this is don't do this to try to don't ever do. We found out after he died that he did all this. Don't do this to try to get all the press in the world. Don't do this saying, "Oh, I'm a good guy." Don't do it because the government tells me to. Don't do that. Just be Robin. Just be him. Here I am. Okay, here you are. I will do it for. It's genuine, and that's the best way. And if we could all think like that, that's the way we go. It's like, let's not do it because someone tells us, or we're or we have people telling us around us, our peers telling us to do it. It's got to be genuine. It was genuine with him.
Great commentary, Jacob. All right, Taylor.
Robin Williams was a star and a talent in the movie cinema industry. Mrs. Doubtfire, Flubber, the voice of the genie in Aladdin. I will always remember him as that voice and character. Now his mental health issues, it's just another example of why you should talk to someone professionally. But it's just tragic that he passed away that way, and that just teaches us all a lesson.
Katie. Go ahead, Jacob. You can.
Well, Taylor, he also had Lewy body dementia, so that's why he decided to do that. He got diagnosed with that, which would have ended up. He was a full physical comedian, which would have taken the rest of his body out. So he decided to do it that way. He did have mental health issues, but his career was over.
True.
Now, Jacob, I heard that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's.
It was Lewy body. It was part, but it was Lewy body dementia also.
I mean, anytime you have a neurological disorder, it's tough. Those are tough. Those are tough things to live with. And it's tough for you and it's tough for the family too. I would say reach out, seek help. There are lots of ways that you can get help. There are a lot of support avenues. I would just encourage everybody to use one of those avenues because it is tough. And if you think about Robin Williams, man, he touched so many different people with all the different things that he did. Not only the homeless, but even the movies. His TV show, like he was on Mork and Mindy. Like you just remember, and they always say laughter is the best medicine. And look at how many times he made you laugh. Just sad that he had the mental illness that he did, and that he's no longer with us.
George.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is sad the way he died, no question about it. But let's talk about what Scott said, that he insisted on these people that also were in need as part of the crew, the stage crew, and jobs. That's outstanding. I never knew that about that until you mentioned it tonight. That was just a great way for him to express his love of his fellow man and woman. And he did it by having them be part of his movies, which were, as we all know, superior to so many others. But his kind of heart, his kindness, that's also sadly missing now because he helped those individuals out on the movie set in different roles and minor things that they did. And I'm sure he compensated them well. But the point is that we're going to miss that part of him too. Maybe, hopefully, people that know him and work with him in production companies are doing the same thing, and we just don't know about it.
So, Willie, quick question for you. Only for Willie only. You ever been to LA?
Yes.
Then then you know where I'm going with this, right?
I don't know. Keep going.
I've been to a lot of big cities, but I've never seen a homeless situation worse than I've seen it in LA.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going with it.
I don't know. I can tell you West Oakland is pretty bad.
Okay, well, that's why I was going. So West Oakland's bad, but you go to LA, it's bad. So why did I bring this topic into play? Because my heart was in LA, and obviously you bring in West Oakland, and when you see that he's willing to help these people out, that puts an exclamation point on the topic. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. That's why I wanted to come up with the list and let the audience know that you certainly had a big, strong heart for the homeless people, and now we have a big heart to honor your memory, as well as the other guy, the Iowa man. Let's not lose sight of him. He helped 33 people get to college. I didn't want to lose sight of that situation, but obviously Robin Williams stood out. All right, let's go to my town. I'm going to start off with this real quickly. Florida Atlantic University football will play the Florida Gators in 2026, and the University of South Florida's USF season opener will take place versus Boise State. What's in your town, Willie? Yeah, just throw a couple of openers out there for two schools that have investors. So FAU gets Florida in 2026 to make some money over at Swamp, and USF gets Boise State. There you go. Willie, talk about your town.
Well, I'm going to go to the Dallas Cowboys. And it is never, and I mean never, too early to troll the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
So apparently Dak Prescott in OTAs went like 14 out of 18 with 4 touchdowns in OTAs. And it's already being uttered around here. The Dallas Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl. Here we are in June. And once again, the Dallas Cowboys have won the offseason for the, 48th consecutive year for being the most talked about team in June.
That's your town?
That's my town.
Okay. Fair enough. I like it. Jacob, your town.
Yeah, Willie, actually try thinking of the excitement that the Bears are trying to get right now. With Caleb Williams, even though they're going to go 5-12 again. But still, it's but I'm going to say my town, we're going to do Atlanta here. And yes, they tried to with all of these deals with the Thibodeau being fired and everything. Quinn Snyder was one of those that they tried to be able to interview, and they said no. The Hawks said no also. So that's all of those. They're going to keep him. And we'll just say it also, Billy Donovan, they tried him also. At this point in time, they're going to be going after they're just going to go after the next of the last one in the bar at 3 in the morning.
Okay.
They should get Mark Jackson.
Well,
well, you know what, Willie? Actually, we're going to talk about that next week.
Okay, sorry.
Anyway,
but you know what? I'm glad you threw the teaser out there. Thank you, Willie. I appreciate it. We can easily spend a fair amount of time. I may have to reduce topics because Mark Jackson may be the equivalent too. But mark my word, that was one of the things I was saying. Oh, the GMTA, Willie, you don't have to take the vet. That's called Great Minds Think Alike. Go ahead, Taylor.
Yes.
all right. In my state of Michigan, of course, the The Tigers still 7.5 games up on the Minnesota Twins in the AL Centrals. Might be soon to be 7 games back unless the Rangers come back at Target Field. Right now they're trying to rally in the top of the 8, down 6-2 to the Twins. But anyway, the Tigers that have the best record in Major League Baseball. They're in a buyer's market. They'll have to stock up on relievers. Plus, they'll have to start to add a quality starter in replacement of Jackson Jobe, who was out for the rest of the season with Tommy John surgery. And they'll have to add a third baseman that could help mentor Zach McKinstry, who still has already 7 triples, but he just has to be a smarter player. Also, the Tigers need a better cleanup hitter because their offense has had way too many games where they can't score very many runs per game, and so Scott Harris and Jack Greenberg really have to stock up at the trade deadline. That's it.
Candy.
So obviously I live down here in Florida right now, and I would be remiss. Josh, I'm going to give you your due here. Stanley Cup Finals. The Panthers are playing hot right now. They took game 3, so they are up 2-1, but they won it pretty convincingly, although I will admit it definitely lived up to what people call a hockey game, whereas they had a fight. Like, if you haven't seen that third period and all the fights, at one point all 5 guys on the ice were fighting all 5 of the other guys on the ice. So it was a big fight, but they won 6-1. For those of you that know that I'm originally from Wisconsin, and so I am a big Packer fan. We did part ways with Jair Alexander this week, and now we have $46 million in cap space that we can go out and do whatever we want with, which is something that is very unusual because the Packers normally don't have a lot of that cap space. They have moved Bo Melton from a wide receiver to a cornerback, and they're trying him out there. His brother plays for the Cardinals, that same. But I do want to put out there, even though today is Vince Lombardi's birthday. If you guys didn't know that, he was born June 11th, 1913. Of course, he's no longer with us, but happy birthday, Vince Lombardi. They all play for that trophy, so let's say happy birthday to Vince Lombardi.
Well, if you're going to mention that, I believe yesterday was my late Aunt Judy's birthday too. So rest in peace, Aunt Judy. Now that you brought it up, so she's died of COVID-19. Really big loss for me, and been a hard one to swallow. But Aunt Judy, love you very much. We will now dedicate the show to you. Okay. So with that said, all right, George, my town.
Well, I'm not going to mention Tigers because my colleague down there, Taylor, already talked about them. So the Detroit Grand Prix, which was held a couple weeks ago here in Motown, for the third year downtown after moving from Belle Isle, which is an island course, did great. IndyCar, as you guys might or may not know, assigned a deal with Fox Sports. And the Indy 500, the Detroit Grand Prix, all these races are now on Fox. And the ratings went way up for Detroit's race, which was on a Sunday, starting at 12:30 in the afternoon, quite early. But the fact of the matter is, it's good news for Fox, but it's also good news for Detroit. The people were coming downtown. The people were buying tickets. They were buying food. They were buying souvenirs and everything else and enjoying the Grand Prix. And although Roger Penske's team didn't win, it was a hell of a race. And it's another gold star I put next to Detroit. And they did a great job with the Detroit Indy Racing League schedule.
Okay. Very good. I'm going to add one to Willie's my town. How do you like that, Willie? Congratulations to the Texas Longhorns. Or was that a parting shot for you later?
No, I was actually shocked when I talked about that on my show last week. I just thought that the Texas Lady Longhorns had won a championship before, but obviously not. I mean, all those great Longhorn baseball teams from the past ate up all of that publicity or all of that. But yeah, I mean, and for them to do it the way that they did it in Norman, I thought was tremendous.
Yeah. So congratulations to the Texas Lady Longhorns for winning the softball college women's World Series. And it's been a good year for the Longhorns because Candy and I saw them at the Final Four out in Tampa. They fell short. Then again to the Connecticut Huskies, and again with Gino Auriemma, they're going to fall short anyways. They didn't play the Longhorns. I don't believe they did, but Gino Auriemma was on a mission to get that anyways. But the Texas Longhorns women's programs have been great. You know, the one in obviously basketball and then winning the women's college World Series is a feather in their cap. So I just wanted to make sure we brought that up here as Willie, because that's a heck of an accomplishment for these young ladies. And since we've talked about women's sports a lot more between Connecticut Sun and this, and we obviously talked about last week, I want to spend at least one segment talk about women's sports every opportunity we get to do it. This was just another opportunity to do that. All right, one thing we're going to go to our baseball fact tonight. We go to a station break, and then we have a couple more topics I want to get to. So we're on a pretty good time trajectory. Baseball facts. On April 17th, 1953, Mickey Mantle hits an estimated 565-foot bomb at Griffith Stadium. Considered the longest. 565. Yes, Taylor, I said 565.
Wow.
At Griffith Stadium,
Almost
considered
600.
the longest homer ever at the ballpark. And on that same date, Mickey Mantle makes his debut. What do you think of that one there, Willie? And you know what's so nice about Mickey Mantle? I got a couple hydro stone statues with him swinging the bat in my house. Mickey Mantle, great stuff. Makes it to the big show. What do you think, Willie?
Mickey Mantle. I mean, the Mick, right?
Yeah, right.
What was it? 61 Murderers Row with him and Roger Maris and the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that look, some of those Yankee lineups or some of the Yankee lineups that they have trotted out here in recent years, I've actually coined them Murderers Row edition, whatever that year was.
Right.
But I never got a chance to see Mickey Mantle play in person, of course. So, but everything that I've seen on tape and wherever else, obviously he was one of the greatest. And you know what I love about Mickey Mantle is that he had just a hint of controversy about him.
That's funny. Well, you know what, Willie? I actually did meet him one time over at Fort Lauderdale Stadium because the Yankees used to train over at Fort Lauderdale Stadium. He's a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that worth anything? I don't know, but I got his statues. So, and they cost me a boatload of money when I paid for them in Cooperstown way back in the day.
Well, nobody can name drop the way this Scooter can name drop.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm at a loss for words with that one. All right, go ahead, Jacob. You can have my words.
Well, let me tell you this. It's good that they have a Murderer's Row back. There was a Murderer's Row in the 60s. You go through the 80s, it was Misdemeanor's Roll. It was that. And now you're getting back to the thing again. In the 90s, they had it again because he had all those World Series in the 90s and 2000s. From 95 on, you know. And then we're getting to it again, and it's like the biggest deal about it with the Yankees, regardless of anything, is it is better for baseball when they're that good. It really is. It gets the attention. There's so many people that hate the Yankees, you know, as much as you have everything. So, regardless of anything, here's the deal. No matter what, think about this for a second. When the Miami Marlins, or the Florida Marlins then, and the Arizona Diamondbacks won their World Series against the Yankees.
All right.
You know, it's like it means more than if they beat the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's just the truth. And what we need to understand and stuff like this is there's so many people that have a hate for the Yankees in a bitterness way, but without them, it just wouldn't be the same.
Well, you know, we also need to understand 565 feet is a long way.
Yeah, that's true.
And, you know, one of my favorite mentors, Andy Lascano, had a good home run phrase. You know what he said? Where did he hit it? 565.
Well, I want to ask this.
Yeah, you ever heard of Andy Lascano?
Mm-hmm.
Have you really? How'd you know him?
Didn't play for the Phillies?
No, Andy Lascano.
Oh, No, then I don't know who
You're
that
thinking of
is.
Sixto Loscano, aren't you?
Yeah, six.
Fixed up. Yeah.
I'm talking about Andy Loscano. I got to get this man a copy of my book. He's in it anyway. He's one of my mentors. This guy, Willie. Don't worry, he'll be in the next one.
Okay.
Andy
Okay.
Loscano, this guy here. Well, I was working with him at Channel 7 at 8 over at NBC. Where did he hit it? Deep. All right, that's two that you got tonight. Okay, Taylor.
Like way out of the ballpark.
Yeah, like 565 feet deep. Okay. All right, who's next? You, Taylor?
Yeah, of course. When you hit a ball like 565 feet, like you mentioned, you know it's way out of the entire ballpark. Period. Enough said. But Mickey Mantle has been the master, not just the luckiest guy on the face of the earth. He was the master in my eyes, even before I was born. I've looked up his main portion, the meat of the matter of his history, and he's one of the greatest Yankee ball players of all time. Period.
Good enough. Okay. Well, all right, Candy.
Mickey was raised by his father to become a baseball player and was trained early on to become a switch hitter. He is the only player to hit 150 home runs from each side of the plate. He hit 536 career home runs while batting 300 or more 10 times in his 16th all-time in home runs per at bat and 17th in on-base percentage. He won a Triple Crown in 56. He was an all-star for 16 seasons, playing in 16 of the 20 all-star games that he was selected for. He also won Golden Gloves. He appeared in 12 World Series, but he also lived life hard.
Right.
For those of you that don't know, he died from liver cancer brought on by years of alcohol abuse. And actually, his sons died from alcoholism as well. 2 of them.
One of his best friends was Billy Martin, by the way.
I have one thing that I wanted to add on this thing. We talked about 565 feet for Mickey Mantle. I have something to be said here. You think of how strong that is, that you have to be, and there is no PEDs in those days at all. How country strong were these people? I mean, I think about, for instance, I'll think about Jack Nicklaus. He's able to hit in one of his tournaments 365 yards with those little persimmon wood the clubs that have no bend. And it's just like I'm just using that as an example. And you hear Mickey Mantle doing 565. You hear Frank Howard and all those guys. You're hearing these. It's like, how naturally strong were these people? Right. Truthfully, and has the PEDs actually made us weaker? I have to ask these things because you don't hear naturally strong people hitting like that anymore at all. It's like, is it just because we get so much help with our body that it's gotten weaker? Because these are just brutally strong people in the past.
Okay. All right, George.
Well, Mickey Mantle was one of the greatest, no question about it. The Tigers had clinched the pennant back in 1968, and they were playing the Yankees the next day. Terrible crowd. Obviously, everybody was excited the night before Detroit won. Mickey came to the plate. Denny McLain. They made it all look like it was all up on the up and up, but Denny McLain grooved that ball in there for Mickey to take one final swing to, and I don't remember who he was chasing in the all-time home run list, but McLain grooved it in there for him, and Mantle cleared the outfield wall at Tiger Stadium. Different than the one you mentioned, Scott, but that is remarkable. That many times, oh my God, that guy would show the power, demonstrate the power, hitting it off the roof in Detroit, or like you said, the one over 560 plus yards. That incredible distance and strength that man had. But yeah, you know, the fans really turned out to watch Mickey Mantle all around the league, in the American League. And they still are a top draw, of course. The Yankees are. So one of the greatest Yanks of all time, Mickey Mantle. I love it. Thanks for bringing him into our discussion tonight, Scott.
You're very welcome, George. All right, go to a station break. After we come back from the station break, we have two more topics. We got pundit. Anybody that has a parting shot can have it. I don't really have any. I said what I wanted to say. Go ahead, Candy. Station break.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, and the foreword is written by another panelist, George Eichhorn. Great job on this book, gentlemen. It talks about media and how the media has changed and evolved over the last 40 years. Scott's got some excellent stories, a couple of good pictures too in there. Go get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can get this book. You can go to our merchandise store and get merchandise. There's also a plethora of great content. Go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you see a red subscribe button, click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show, call Scott 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
Thank you, Candy. All right. Well, I normally don't bring up politics, but I'm not really bringing up politics. But Donald Trump wants to stop changing names for teams. But in my mind, the only two that did make sense were the Cleveland Indians and the Washington Redskins. I'm only bringing them up because he said it. I don't care. Many of us probably think it. But that's the Donald. Remember, he used to own the New Jersey Generals, and he's the same guy that wanted to compete with the NFL during the spring. I'm not getting it. I'm not going any deeper. The only time I understand changing names in certain areas when Tennessee had the Oilers that they had to go ahead and change it to the Titans to rebrand. I get that. I still, to this day, though, don't understand why the Washington Redskins had to go away. I love that name. I don't think it should have ever. And the Cleveland Indians, they were tradition. I'm going to leave it at that. So forget about who I mentioned at the beginning with the initials DT, Donald Trump, okay? Although we're not talking Donald Duck, we're talking Donald Trump. But from when you look at the overall perspective, Willie, what are your thoughts about teams changing names? You like it or you don't?
I don't really have a problem with the Indians or the Redskins or the Seminoles or the Black Hawks or whoever else.
Right.
Well, I can tell you what I do have a problem with. I have a problem with teams that are named after the state they play in instead of the city. I do have a problem with that.
Okay. All right.
So that's my piece, and I'm sticking to it.
No problem. It's okay with me. I've said my piece. You can say yours, Jacob.
Oh, the Redskins did not need to leave. Redskins is an awesome name and needs to come back. But the main thing about the Redskins, and probably the Indians also, is now they probably have to talk to the USPTO, because the main thing when the Patent and Trademark Office, the one thing is when the Redskins left, they literally made a rule at the time stating you can't make money off of this name. They were talking about this with high school. They were talking about it with everybody. So they took it away from everyone. Now, with the new person in office, that could easily change. But before you could even get the Redskins name back, you got to remember by itself, Magic Johnson is part owner with the Commanders, and the right now Commanders.
Right.
And he is always looking to have money. So I don't think he's going to stop the name. I don't think he's going to stop the name of the Redskins coming back. I think he would stop it if they would say you can't make any money off of it. Right. As far as goes. So I think that's the biggest thing is they just have to talk. They just have to make a deal with the Patent and Trademark Office and be able to get it back. But the one biggest thing about it is, are we going to go through this garbage again if they changed the parties and all this kind of stuff like that? It's an annoyance. There's going to be someone in office, doesn't matter what party there is, that just stops the lunacy. Just get back to the normal and the everything, and just quit trying to troll everybody.
Fair enough. Taylor?
None of this name changing bothers me whatsoever. Indians, Guardians, Redskins, Commanders. It doesn't really matter.
Candy?
I always thought that a mascot was something that you kind of valued. I mean, not that you looked up to it, but like it was in a different, you're even if you're playing somebody that has a name that it's not derogatory. I mean, you're cheering for them. You're always trying to lift them up. Now, I'll be honest with you. I am an Indian. I actually lived when I grew up. I lived in a subdivision that was an Indian. All the names of the streets were Indians. My team mascot from high school was the Indians.
Hmm.
I see nothing wrong with those types of names. Do I think they needed to be changed? No, I don't. But I'm also not an Indian. Like I was never an Indian, and so to walk in their shoes and to see it from their perspective, I can't because I didn't grow up that way. But I don't think that it's a derogatory thing. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Okay, George.
Well, what bothers me about it is there seems to be inconsistency. Indians is deemed not a good name. Redskins, not a good name. But then we've left other teams with Indian related names, nicknames. And it just seems like, they're circling certain names that they don't like, I guess. I don't know. Like New York Yankees. Now, Yankee was kind of a slur name. You were calling Americans Yankees, Yanks. Nobody ever got upset about that. I just think that I wish it could be settled, but it's never going to be settled. If one politician likes it and one doesn't, or one team and the other one doesn't, Major League, the commissioner's office doesn't like it. It's unfortunate, but I see how sometimes it could get people upset, but they don't mean any ill will by it. They're just trying to honor, especially the tribes, the Sioux, the tribes that were so great and Native American tribes. But it's interesting to talk about, though. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the president talked about it. He'll get attention for it, and then and that's why everybody looks at Lee. Everybody like he's crazy because he has to think about team names instead of what he's doing. But I'll leave it at that. Period. All right. On to the Detroit Pistons. Let's talk a little bit of basketball. Talk about Draymond Green on his podcast. Cade Cunningham will bring a championship to the Detroit Pistons. Do you agree, Willie, that he will bring a championship to the Detroit Pistons with Draymond Green?
I mean, what does Draymond Green know? Seriously.
All right.
No, I mean, they very easy. I shouldn't say easily. They very well could have beaten the Knicks in the first round of the playoffs. They just didn't get the right bounces at the right time. And I think there's a little bit of an experience factor with that too, because they hadn't been to the playoffs in 6 years, something like that. They've got the pieces in place, and Cade is a terrific piece to build around. Championship, I think it might be a little too soon to say that, but obviously, who knows?
Good point, Jacob.
It's a not retired aging player who's had 4 rings trying to get a 5th and going home and going to Detroit. That's exactly what he said. He will bring it, which means he wants to be there. It's just the truth. He wants to. He's saying it without sprinkling he's sprinkling the seeds, but he doesn't want collusion. He doesn't want all that kind of crap. But that's exactly how he's doing it. He wants to be there so he can be able to help get him the title.
Well, let's face the reality about Draymond Green. He's a Michigan mitten guy, right? He always
MSU Spartan.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. He's a mitten guy. He loves Michigan, the Detroit Pistons, and MSU. So I can't blame him for wanting to see the Pistons win, and they had a good year. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Mitten. And also in the chat room, George and Dickey still waiting for the Chicago Blackhawks and Florida State Seminoles to change their names. Well, I don't think that will ever happen. I think you're right. Okay, go ahead, Taylor.
Yep. So, Draymond Green to the Pistons. If that's a possibility, that could.
No, he's
Draymond
what?
Green.
No, don't lose sight of what the topic is. Okay, we're not saying he's going to the Pistons. He says he believes that Cade Cunningham will go ahead and bring them a championship. That's what the topic is, Taylor.
Right.
I
Well,
just want to make sure.
you have, while Cade Cunningham is a great player, he's also a turnover machine. Of course,
Okay.
a lot. I've seen him turn the ball over several times per game, and that has to stop. He's got to work on limiting the turnovers, reducing them. I'm not saying eliminating them, but reducing them. He's got to be smarter and more aggressive with the basketball. Also, he needs to take it to the rack, and when he's like too swamped, you got to pass the ball, try to find somebody open. That's just the way basketball works. Fundamental basketball. He's still got to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Candy.
And what I'm going to say is no one player can bring the championship to their city. If that were the case, I would say Giannis would have way more than one title so far in his career, because he is one of the best NBA players. It takes a team. It's a team sport. So you need complementary players to him. So could he be the catalyst that does that?
Right.
Yes, of course. But it takes more than just him. So just like in Milwaukee, it takes more than just Giannis.
Right.
George.
Well, I listened to a show a couple of weeks ago after the Pistons got eliminated. It wasn't on your network, Scott or Candy, but I thought that it was pretty astute. And his observation was he did not see Cade Cunningham going and acting like he is the true leader of the team in every one of those playoff games against the Knicks. He did not step up to the challenge. Okay, so that's one man's opinion. I see sort of what he said, getting back to what Taylor said about too many turnovers. Or you look at the stats and you see that, a couple games, he had 20 or, low 20s or something like that. Cade can carry this team. He just needs more seasoning and a full complementary cast. I think the Pistons surprised a lot of people this year, no question about it. And Draymond Green, you might be into something, or maybe he's just saying that because he still loves Michigan, the state of Michigan. We know that. But I think Draymond Green carries a little bit of respect because he is a champion. And whether you like the guy or you don't, he sees a lot in Cade Cunningham. So I'm with him in that one.
All right, I'm leaning with Willie. I think it's really a bit premature, but Trajan Langdon has some work to do this offseason, and JB Bickerstaff is a heck of a coach. That's all I'm going to say. Trajan Langdon has some work to do, but things are looking good in Detroit. I'm glad to see that they got in the playoffs. The Red Wings have some work to do to get away from that playoff drought. We'll get into that tonight, but I like where the Red Wings are. We certainly like where the Tigers are and the Lions, but the Pistons, this is a good feel-good story, and I don't blame Draymond Green for his optimism. All right, let's go to pundit real quick, and then any parting shots that apply. And Willie's going to give his information out there, and I think we're getting right near there, but I'm working on it, Willie. All right, so pundit, Jacob, what you got?
Okay. Last night on my TikTok, I did a little deal. I was basically saying this is a little message to Ric Flair. He writes a tweet or an X or whatever we're going to call it right now.
Twitter is always Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, Willie.
Woo! I try to be nice to everybody. God only knows I spent more money on spilt liquor in 1 year than people have in a lifetime. This guy's out of his mind at this point. I tried being nice, and this is my last message to everyone. I got more money than I got time. Go F yourself. I made $3 million at 76 years old. Woo! Okay.
Eric.
You have skin cancer right now, Rick. The second time in 3 years. And who knows which one finally finishes you. I know you're a freak of nature, but I mean, we know what happens. Sometimes you're due. But I'm going to say this. You said you made $3 million last year. You probably spent $4 million. You always do. And now you talk about I spent more money on spilt liquor. You're 76 years old. You need to grow up. You have had 5 marriages and you refuse to grow up. You used to go to the Hilton or the Hyatt or the St. Regis or somewhere in Tokyo and have all the greatest things in the world with the 4 horsemen, and now you're going to Applebee's yelling at the bartenders. The whole thing that this started last night is because I said this is the adult debate of Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair. The adult debate, not who's a better wrestler, all that stuff we did, NWA, WWF, all that stuff. Adult, gray hairs, the gray hair version of this. Hulk Hogan is 71 years old now and has a second family, a couple of teenagers with it. And he started a beer deal. He started started his own beer. He's going to have his own bar next to Madison Square Garden in the next 3 months. And he might buy the intellectual property of Hooters when it goes bankrupt. This is the thing I'm saying. We don't know if this stuff works or not. But this is what I'm saying. This is what you need to do with money, not spend it at an Applebee's while yelling at bartenders. This is the thing. It is time to grow up someday. Because the reason I'm bringing this up is you talk about spending $3 million. And I said you probably spent $4 million. You got $3 million, spent $4 million. You've just left your kids with a whole lot of hell when you do die. A lot of hell. Because there's going to be lawyers. There's going to be lawsuits. He no question owes money to people. You're going to be responsible. And Hulk is going to leave 2 different sets of kids with a lot of money. No, I'm just bringing this, and I know what you're saying with that. But there's a difference with acting like an adult and acting like a child. You're still a child, Rick. It's like you got the biggest thing is it's too late for you to make piles of money now. You're at your age and at your health. But I can say this: the best thing you can do for them is pay your dang debts off and quit messing around, so you don't leave your kids with crap. Because you're about to leave them with a whole lot of hell.
Pretty well done. That's a loaded one there. When you say Willie,
Yeah.
I
would say so. Maybe he can sell all of those woos and try to make up some of that debt. I don't know.
Hey Jacob, I don't know if you need a parting shot. That one was loaded. Do you?
That's going to be the one. Yes.
Yeah, but that was a pundit parting shot all rolled into one. Do you have one, Willie?
No. Yeah.
Yeah, actually I do. And I know that you brought up the current president and everything that's going on around the country with these protests and these ICE aids and everything else, or raids, I should say. I said aids, ICE raids. I just want to tell everybody out there one simple thing. If we would just look each other in the eye and have a conversation, we will find that there are way more things that we have in common than that we don't. I can think of 5 things off the top of my head that would be a point of unity for any conversation starter. Nobody wants the price of eggs to be $8 a carton. Nobody wants the price of milk to be $5 a gallon. Nobody wants the price of gas to be $7 a gallon in California or Hawaii. Those are 3 things right there that we can find a point of unity. And that's just that part of it. I mean, there's always food and sports. So that's 5 things right there off the top of my head that we could just come together on and realize that politicians have made billions of dollars by keeping us divided.
I like it. So while you have your parting shot, why don't you let everybody know how they can get a hold of you?
Let's see. Facebook, Shakeback Media Group, Twitter, Shakeback Media Group, Instagram, Shakeback Media Group, TikTok, Coach Willie, YouTube, the Shakeback Media Group. Also, Don't Jump, the podcast starring my wife, Patrice. We are dropping nuggets every Tuesday about families and blended families and how to not make the same mistakes that we made in these last 14 years that we have been together. And just to piggyback on something that was said earlier about Robin Williams and mental health, mental health is definitely real. As somebody that has been diagnosed with one of those dreaded things, I am an advocate. Our life coaching practice has been birthed because of that. And we are always here to help anybody that feels like they need help or don't think they need help or whatever the case may be. Our website for that is don'tjump.net.
Well said. And you can find Willie Wednesday nights here on the Sports Exchange here in the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network. We thank very much. We're glad that Willie's a part of our team on Wednesday night. And he's been a great friend of mine through Twitter X for a long time. Can't think of any more genuine person than Willie Epting. He's really been a friend like a brother to me. So I'm glad to be able to work with Willie and we're able to do what we can. God bless Willie. You're the best, my brother. Okay.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I know you have to get going, but I want to make sure you got it all in here on time, and thankfully we got it worked out. So we'll see you next week. All right, Willie?
All right, y'all take care.
All right, have a great night, Willie.
Yeah.
Send my regards to your wife.
Ta-ta.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, bye-bye.
You bet. All right, with that said, Jacob, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
Sideline One Sports on TikTok, which we're actually starting to grow the thing right now. Pretty cool. Jacob Christner on Facebook, not on X. Jacob Christner on Instagram, and I do writings here and there, and then a few acting gigs. So you'll see me around.
Okay, we'll go to Taylor.
I am the creator of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. Subscribe to its channel on its YouTube channel at the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, all in one word. Also on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Amazon Music /Audible, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and Gio7. Also on social media on X, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Michigan _truth, and like its Facebook page.
George.
You can reach me at the South Florida Tribune. Read my columns on our page that's called Contributors, and you'll see in that little tag at the end of my column, which is a link to carry over to Amazon if you're interested in my book, Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air, chronicling 80 to 90 years of broadcasting in Detroit, including by yours truly and by Scott and our friend Ernie Harwell, who wrote the foreword. Also, you can reach me on X, Twitter at SanGSports99, LinkedIn, George Eichhorn, and gichorn@yahoo.com. And I'm glad to be part of this great show tonight, as well as 108 Stitches. Yes.
Okay, Candy, take us the rest of the way.
So I'm going to before I sign us off or anything like that, I did have a parting shot. My parting shot is we lost a legend today in the music industry in Brian Wilson, the founder of the Beach Boys. Now, whether you are a fan of the Beach Boys or not, that was a band that had been around forever. It was formed in Hawthorne, California back in 1961. They have over 100 million records sold. And he was the one that wrote most all of the songs. So, again, whether you liked their music or not, they transformed what rock was back in the day. So, rest in peace, Brian Wilson. Now, South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, and the foreword was written by George Eichhorn. This book is a great book for anybody that's looking to get into the media business or anybody that wants to read about the media business and how it has evolved and changed over the 40 plus years Scott's been in the media. Some great stories, a couple great pictures. Go get your book today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and Google and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a link to our merchandise store as well as a plethora of great content. Go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, as Taylor said, we're available at all the places he is. Any place you get your podcasts, or you can find us. You see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner. Click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family, anyone you think that would enjoy any of our programs. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday nights on Sports Exchange, you just never know what we're going to throw at you. The same on Thursday nights on Fire Up. Thursday nights also have Sports Wrap. It's our hockey show. Tomorrow is one of our last episodes for the summer, and it's going to sporadically be off for a couple weeks, and then it'll sporadically show up during the off season here. But you can also check Scott's got a Motor City Mad Mouse show where he does one-on-one interviews. He's got Professor and Pupil where he talks with Steven. You can also check out, we have The Real and the Rare where Steven interviews people. So just go check out all of our different broadcasts that we have on the network. If you want to advertise or sponsor any one of our shows, you can call Scott 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
Well done, Candy. Yes, tomorrow Sports Wrap. But Mike Santos and I will be there, and Fire Up is going to be great. And Taylor Phillips makes his Fire Up debut tomorrow. He'll be on there every Thursday. Jacob, well done on your pundit point and parting shot. You bring it to us every week, George. Well done. So on behalf of Willie Epting, Candy Ebling, George Eichhorn, Taylor Phillips, and Jacob Christopher, my name is Scott Morgan with the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange, and we'll see you next Wednesday night. Good night, everybody.